And today I'm bringing you a message on family, building strong families. I think as introduced earlier, I spent a number of years in the prisons, 17 years to be exact, as a prison officer, not as a prisoner. But actually the prisoners taught me about family. I must thank them because when I first started out as a young prison officer, I would be very curious about what gang they belong to, where they get the drugs, where they hide their guns. But after some time, I got tired of that because it's always the same story. Salakau, 2-4, Sarajambo, Omega, But then I began to go deeper. Tell me about your life. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your childhood. Where do you grow up? How was your family like? And as I hear their stories one by one, I have case files, some so thin, some so thick, and many of them very thick because I work in Changi prison. And as I hear their life stories, they taught me the importance of family. And then for 6 years, I went over to the Ministry of Social and Family Development, and that was where Dads for Life started. And in fact, 2 weeks' time, I'm going to bring the message about how God led me to start the Dads for Life. But for 6 years, I was looking after children's homes, family violence, child abuse. I know of children beaten up so badly, coma in hospital. I have child protection officers that will go and extract the child. I remember I was in one of the children's homes. In fact, it was the boys' home. And so there were teenage boys, and they have to be locked up, some of them. And then I saw the shortest. And I was thinking, what's he doing inside? So I said, can you come forward? So he walked to the front. In between there were iron bars. I said, how old are you? And he was only 11 years old. I was asking God, I said, what happened to an 11-year-old boy? Why is he locked up together with all these teenage boys? Beyond parental control. And I was thinking that, what happened in the first 10, 11 years of his life? What sort of family did he grow up in? And so, at one of the meetings, I remember my minister, that time was Minister Vivian Balakrishnan, and he said this. He said after being a minister of the MCYS, Ministry of Community Development, Youth and Sports, now is MSF, Ministry of Social and Family Development. And he said many Singaporeans do not suffer from a lack of material wealth. They suffer from a poverty of relationships. Singapore is one of the richest countries. In fact, I think recently it was like, top 5 or top 3, So we have many beautiful houses, but we have many broken homes as well. What is happening inside all these houses? Poverty of relationships. And we know, and as Christians, God is all about relationships. Why did Jesus die on the cross? It's to restore our relationship with the Father. Everything is about relationships. And so I think the church needs to lead in this. I can tell you, I work in the civil service 20 over years. Government may not have the solution, but the church has a solution. And we need to show the world how to do it. But it's not easy. Without God, it cannot be done. It can only be done with God in the center of our marriage, in the center of our family. Now, this is very familiar. Sometimes I draft speeches for ministers and we put this, family is the basic building block of society. Family is the foundation of a nation. Everybody talks about it. Family is the foundation, is the basic building block. I like the Chinese version better. Because the English version very long-winded. Family is the basic building block. Long-winded. Chinese only 2 words, 国家. Guo is country, jia is family, home. We always say, 没有国哪有家. Without a nation, how can there be families? That's why we need to build strong nation. But without a family, how can we have a strong nation? Family is the basic building block. That's why the Chinese words got it right. 国家. You see the word 家 inside. And if the family is the basic building block of a nation, the family must also be the basic building block of a church. Cell group is the basic building block. Family is the other building block. If as parents, earlier we dedicate our children, we are stewards of the next generation. If we build our children well at home, if we disciple them well at home, between Monday to Saturday, and Sunday when they come to church, wouldn't the church be strong? Because the first 6 days we have done our work. So here I'm going to share with you how. Hopefully we can take away some tips today. And when I look at this sentence, family is the basic foundation of society, sometimes I wonder, is it biblical? Can you even find it in the Bible that family is the foundation of a nation? It's the basic building block of the nation. Can. Go back to all the way to Genesis. Right at the beginning, God has given us the blueprint. God gave Noah the blueprint to build the ark. God gave Moses the blueprint, David the blueprint to build the temple, the tent where God dwells. God gives blueprints. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. There are blueprints, there are solutions in heaven that we can pull down, we can bring down. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, 28, there is the blueprint for family. Shall we read together? 1, 2, 3. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. See, God already gave Singapore the solution, be fruitful. But Singapore not very fruitful. So we're in trouble. Just like I saw a family with 4 children, I was so happy, you know. Singapore got hope. Now, let me break this down into the blueprint so you can see the blueprint. God created man in his image, so that's a God and man relationship. Male and female, he created them, so it's a male and female husband and wife relationship. Be fruitful, parents and children relationship. Once we get these 3 relationships right, then fill the earth, subdue it, rule over. That means form families, form tribes, societies, and nations. I can even break this down even into something simpler. How to build a strong family? First, we build a strong vertical relationship between us and God. Then we build a strong marriage relationship. Then we build a strong parent-child relationship. Child and parent relationship. I make it even simpler. Upstream, midstream, downstream. Very often we say downstream, downstream, downstream. I say, no, downstream is usually not the problem. It's usually midstream. Go upstream, go upstream. Midstream got problem? No. Go upstream, go upstream. Go further. The problem is usually right at the top. Let me explain. There was this couple who reached out to me having problems with one of the teenage children. So I don't know them, they don't know me, but a friend of theirs knew me, gave them my number, messaged me. I said, sure, let's meet. So we met for lunch. Wow, they seemed very busy. I was early, sat there while they rushed in, you know. I don't know where both of them came from. It's like they work at different places. Sat down, the husband straight away took the menu and ordered, you know. So I just sat there waiting for them to share what they wanted to share. And then husband looked at the wife looked at the husband. Of course, I look at the husband. The husband need to take ownership. The father of the family need to take ownership. So I look at the husband just waiting for him to share. And then he said, oh, it's about our son. I said, go on, I'm listening. You know, since you all seem to be in a rush, well, let's talk. And then after listening to him, I said, I think I can recommend a counselor. And then I asked, what about your daughter? Then he said, oh, I'm not here to talk about our daughter. We're only here to talk about our son. I said, it's okay. I think, you know, since we have time, the food hasn't come yet. Why don't you share with me about your daughter? And then as he shared, I said, I think she may need a psychologist. I can recommend one. You know. And then, of course, they thanked me for that. But as they were talking about their 2 children, I can see the husband and wife looking at each other, you know. I can see the vibes, not very good vibes. So since I settled the downstream about the children, I decided to ask the midstream. By the way, how's your marriage? How's your marriage? How are you doing, you know, husband and wife? And then the wife just kept quiet, you know. So I turned to the husband, and the husband said, oh, the usual quarrel. So I didn't stop there. I pressed in. How often? And 3-4 times. I pressed in. 3-4 times a month. And then he said, oh no, 3-4 times a week. Isn't that normal? Isn't that usual? I say, no, that's not normal. 3-4 times a week is not normal. And so that was midstream. So I pressed in some more. I say, okay, you are Christians, right? They say, yeah, we are Christian, we go to church. Okay, tell me, how is your relationship with God? I went upstream. Huh? Do you pray? Do you have time to read your Bible? Do you have devotion, personal time with God, quiet time? And then do you know what the husband said? Where got time? I'm so busy, I work and my children like that, give me so much problems. Where got time for God? I said, you realize? So I took out my Bible, Genesis 1, verse 27, 28. Then I said, God created us in His image, upstream, husband and wife, midstream, fruitful, downstream. I said, do you realize that your upstream got problem? That's why it flowed to your midstream. I said, do both of you even pray for each other, with each other? No. I said, maybe for a start, before your children see counselors, see psychologists, as a married couple, start to pray for each other. Start to go back to God. This is like these 3 relationships is like the left leg, Be fruitful and multiply and have dominion over, go and rule over, go and plant a church, go and be a missionary, go and build a successful career. That's the right leg. My relationship with God, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my children are the left leg. If my left leg is not strong, I dare to go and chiong. Better not. I need to build up my strong relationship first. Then I go. I met so many people, successful career, so-called successful career, successful ministry, but then the left leg, they've forgotten, they neglected, and then they have to pull back. Everything stopped. Everything fall apart. So my encouragement to you, God has given us a blueprint. Focus on the 3 key relationships. I'm going to start with downstream, give you a couple of tips on downstream. Just now, Pastor talked about train up a child in the way that he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. I must say that even though I have 2 children, grown-up children, for a number of years, I misinterpreted this verse. And many parents misinterpreted this verse because, especially Singapore parents, we want to train up a child in the way that I want him to go. Not in the way that he is supposed to go. Not in the way that God has designed him, designed her to go. I never be a doctor, I want you to be a doctor. I never play the piano, I want you to play the piano. Girls play piano, boys play violin, isn't it? Now I ask my son, remember, now you can play a bit of the ukulele, because last time I sent you for violin class. Then he looked at me, don't talk to me about violin anymore. Now, I'm not perfect, I make mistakes. I thought I want the best for my child, right? Train up in the way that I want him to go. No, train up the way that God wants him to go. We are supposed to be stewards. We're supposed to partner with God to raise up our children. Not we raise our children the way we want and not the way God wants. This is my... Okay, let's watch this video. I will press again.
He got his A-level results.
Tell me the worst.
No, it's great news. He got what he needed.
Let me see. English A, mathematics A, physics A, chemistry A. What is this?
What? What? He got a B in classical studies.
He got a B?
It doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? Doesn't matter. My son got a B.
It's only 1.
Still, it's a B. He could have got all A's. Mr. Sinha's son got all A's. But my son had to get a B.
Mr. Sinha's son only did 2 A-levels. Our son did 5 in 1 sitting. He's the first in his school ever to do that.
Really?
Yes.
Then he is going to school full of idiots. How am I going to keep my head up in the community? My son got a B.
He got the grades to do medicine at Cambridge.
He's doing medicine at Cambridge?
Yes.
Idiot! He should be doing PhD.
They don't let you do a postgraduate without a degree.
I know. That's why I was telling him to do his degree in his spare time. What is wrong with him, Mr. Khanna's son is getting BSc. My son is only doing A-levels, Too busy playing football.
He got into the Millwall first team.
Millwall. Mr. Owen's son is getting into Liverpool. If my son can only get a place in Millwall, he will bring shame to the family.
But Liverpool wouldn't give him a trial.
And why is that?
Because he's 6.
You know, the first time I watched the video, someone sent it to me. I laughed like many of us here. And after a while, I realized I was laughing at myself. I was laughing at a lot of Singapore parents. You know, expectations, nothing wrong with expectations. I mean, our parents have expectations of us, we have expectations of our children, but be careful when the expectations are too high. When it is not God's expectations, but man's expectations. I want to explain to you this love-based parenting versus expectations-based parenting. Quite often we use expectations-based, which is fear-based. Love-based is better. Love-based is God's way of parenting us. So as you can see this diagram, expectations-based parenting creates fear, shame, guilt. These are expectations. Then if there's expectations, I need to perform, right? So son, come on, you can do it. Come on, jump. How come you cannot? How come you cannot? Everybody can, you cannot. What's wrong with you? Your cousin can, how come you cannot? Your classmate can, you also cannot. I'm so disappointed with you. Never mind, try again next week, next month, next test, next exam, next year. After a while, it creates fear. I dare not go to school. I dare not take exam. I dare not take the results home and show my parents. Fear. I dare not go to work because my boss will scold me. I lost the deal. My boss is going to kill me. Fear. Throughout the whole life is just anxiety. Dare not try. Dare not take risk. Expectations-based parenting. You know, this is my daughter. My daughter is 29 this year. This was just received the PSLE results. Well, this is a PSLE period. Over already, oh? Not yet. Over. Okay, O-level still on. N-level still on. Okay, so this is a stressful period for a lot of parents. But, oh, you look, just received PSLE results. Good results or bad results? Good, very good. My wife so happy, smiling, took photo for us. 2A plus 2 A's. Skip O-level, went to IP. Self-directed learning, but my daughter not very good at self-directed. She needs structure. So the result started to drop. From top 10%, top 20%, become bottom 10, bottom 20%. Got to see teacher, then after that I get promoted to see head of department. Then my daughter said, Dad, what's wrong with me? She couldn't cope. How come my friends don't have to study hard, can get the result? I study so hard, I also cannot get the result. Dad, what's wrong with me? Then I was thinking, I don't know, I'm a government scholar. Cannot be my genes, right? Must be your mom's genes. Joking, I never say that. But sometimes it's like, you find out what's wrong, you know, who is at fault. Maybe someone is at fault. It's either you or me or your teacher, your school. And thankfully, I learned about love-based parenting. So I said, Sarah, you're not good in maths, you're not good in bio, you're not good in physics. Then she looked at me, Dad, I know what you're trying to tell me. Can you please get straight to the point? I said, but you are good with children. Children love you. You see, in the cell group, whenever we gather as a cell, all the young kids run to Jeje Sarah, want to play with Jeje Sarah. You're good with children. And then compassionate. You say your friend got problem, always come to you for help, right? Come to you to talk to you. You see, you're compassionate. That's very good. And your leadership, you're vice captain of your school team. Then she felt better, and then suddenly she looked at me and said, Dad, but the school never give marks for all these things, no? I said, that's true, the school never give marks. Does it mean it's not important? And so I still want to practice love-based parenting. I said, but these are life skills. These are life skills. These are important. And so after A-level results, after A-level was completed, to know what the result's going to be. So anyway, I thought better help her find her career. I said, Sarah, come. Not sure what's going to happen to your results, but anyway, you love children. You know, early childcare sector, lots of jobs. Want to try? Kindergarten, childcare, want to try? She said, okay lah, since I like children. So I called up a principal friend, went there, attached there for 2-3 weeks and came back, sat with her. I said, Sarah, how? You love children? How? Childcare? Then she said, Dad, I love children, but too many children. Wow, cannot take it. I thought you love children, how come? And then she said this, she said, but I saw this quiet child, I always go and talk to him, and then this child was bullied, and then I go and sayang him, and this child, not one-to-many, is one-to-one. One-to-one, child psychologist, one-to-one. Special needs, one-to-one. Speech therapy, one-to-one. I said, okay, Sarah, maybe not one-to-many, not the whole class, but one-to-one. Okay, want to try? So she said, yeah, can try psychology. So I called up a friend again, went there, attached for 1-2 weeks, came back. I said, how? Psychology? She said, Dad, psychology, clinical psychologist needs 6 years before you can practice. Honors plus masters. Then she said, too long. I said, too long how, But finally, she did speech therapy. And now she's in one of our hospitals in Singapore. In fact, she got pretty good honors. And when she was studying, she wasn't studying for the marks. She was studying hard because she wanted to help children. And now she's very happy. Every day tell me, Dad, this little boy is so cute, Love-based parenting. For a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. Please climb that tree. Fair or not fair? Of course not fair. Okay, let's read this together. 1, 2, 3. Everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. From the genius himself. Can you look at each other and say, you're a genius? You're a genius. You are wonderfully made. I'm sure you realize that our thumbprint, no one has the same thumbprint. God created every one of us, proven in the thumbprint that we are all unique, special. So don't look at your child and compare. How come your cousin can do it, you cannot do it? Don't compare. The disciples of Jesus, are they scholars? No. God can do anything. With man it's impossible, with God all things are impossible. When I was a prison officer, every time I look at a prisoner, I don't look at him, wow, your file's so thick, what's wrong with you? No. I look at him, I say, what does God see in you? If God see an apostle in Peter, can we not see an apostle in our children? So I just want to encourage you, practice love-based parenting. Train up a child in the way that God wants your child to go, not in the way that you want to go. Whatever our plans are still short of God's ways. His ways are higher. His thoughts are higher. Yeah. Now, the other thing that always causes problem in the downstream. So the first thing that causes problem downstream, our relationship with our children, is academics, is marks. High marks, happy. Low marks, unhappy. High marks, I celebrate. Low marks, I feel depressed. Wow, you have 4 children. A lah, then D lah, then fail lah, plus lah. Emotions go up and down. That's terrible. Anyway, the other thing that will cause downstream problem is values. May I know, who are the parents here? What values do you want to pass down to your children? Shout. Huh? Godly values. Wow, that one so much, so many. Shout one by one. Patience. Wonderful. Patience. Right? Some more. Love. Okay, love. Huh? Kindness. Okay, kind. Be kind. Yes, nice. Huh? Faith. Okay, wonderful. One more. Huh? Respect. I remember I was in Malaysia, Indonesia, I shared the same thing, asked the same thing, and then someone shouted, integrity. I thought, very good. Then after that, everybody laughed, I think, what's wrong with integrity? Integrity very important. There's Jason, this is Indonesia. Oh, I said, Jason, this is Malaysia. Anyway, What values you want to pass? So a lot, I think everybody, husband and wife, you sit down, you ask your husband what values, then you ask your wife what values, then you add up together. Now let's watch this video. What values do you want to pass down?
Looks like rain again today. Dark clouds gather and fill the sky. Don't know how to talk to you, just know how to say goodbye.
Have you actually got a driver's license? I don't think so. Did you see his back there?
Go back where you came from. Learn to speak
Go back where you came.
He doesn't know anything to me.
What's wrong with you, Harry? What's wrong with you?
Get over here. You don't want to sleep. I've had enough of you. I've had enough of you.
Many parents like to ask me, Jason, how do I teach my children values? So I say, you live the values that you want to teach. You want to teach respect, you need to show respect to those around you. I remember years ago, we drive, then we park in the car park, then we sit, husband and wife sit in front, our children at the back. You know what's the discussion? The discussion between husband and wife is to peel or not to peel. 10 minutes only what? No need to peel the car park coupon. 10 minutes only. Then while we're having this discussion, our children behind listening to us. To peel or not to peel. So talk about integrity, right? You need to live out. Values are caught, not taught. It's caught. And by the way, I know of some parents, I have some rich friends, they'll think about how to pass down valuables. So I have a financial planner friend who say, hey, Jason, let me teach you this lesson. Before you pass down any valuables, you better pass down values. Valuables without values will disappear very fast. Let's read this together. 1, 2, 3. Clearly, you are a letter from Christ, showing the result of our ministry among you. This letter is written not with pen and ink, but with the Spirit of the living God. It is carved not on tablets of stone, but on human hearts. We are all letters of Christ. People are reading us. They are watching us. And who are the ones that watch us the most? Our family. Sometimes people tell me, say, Jason, wow, you're very good. Wow, you did this, you're very good, very good. I say, ask my wife whether I'm very good. The true Jason Wong, my wife will know. My children will know. Everything else outside, I can bluff. That's why when Downstream have problems, it's because there's something is not aligned at home. And why young people walk away from church, from home, from their faith, is because of that misalignment of values. What is said is not lived out. So I want to encourage all the parents here especially. Yeah. I remember, I shared some things, I conducted some workshops in the church in Malaysia, and one father came up to me and said, Jason, I wish I heard you 20 years ago. He said, too late now. My son has left the faith, left the church. And then I told this father a story. I said, well, in God's kingdom, there's never too late. God is the Redeemer. God has given us the ministry of reconciliation. It's never too late. And so I told him about a story of another father. And this other father heard me share, and then he wanted to offer to send me to the airport. So he told the pastor, our speaker Jason is going back to Singapore. I can send him to the airport. Then after hop into the car, then we had 1 whole hour to the KLIA airport. Then he looked at me, he said, Jason, just now after you spoke in church, a lot of people wanted to talk to you. So I also want to talk to you, ask you a question, but no time, so I offered to send you to the airport. So now can I talk to you? I said, sure, you have 1 hour. And then he said, yeah. Just now you talk about, asking for forgiveness. So I did that to my son. Because when I was a new Christian, I was so excited about God. I brought my wife to church and I brought my children to church. And then my son wasn't happy in church. He got no friends, but I forced him to go to church. And of course, as he get older, he hated me and he hated the church and he walked away. I say, since you know the problem, just apologize, When I say it's never too late, that means just say sorry. Just say sorry. And redeem that. And so he said, I did that. No, I did that 2 years ago. I said, what do you do? How did you do it? And then he said this to me. He said, this is what I did, Lord. I said, son, I'm so sorry that I forced you to go to church because I'm so excited about God. But you must understand now, it's for your good. What? I asked you to go to church, it's for your good. What? I said, hey, stop. Do you know what you're doing? You're not asking for forgiveness. You are. To say sorry is very simple. I'm sorry for not being there for you. I'm sorry for. Will you forgive me? And you stop. You don't give reasons, you don't give excuse, but you must understand, I work very hard for you, I do this out of... No, don't give all those reasons. Just say, I'm sorry for this, and then you stop and say, will you forgive me? And that's it. And then you wait. Sometimes you may wait for minutes, sometimes you may need to wait for weeks. And better still, if you can write it down. Because the person who read it, who listen, may need time to digest. And God may take time to speak to him. So it's always possible, right? It's never too late. Redemption, seeking reconciliation, asking for forgiveness. So I talk about downstream. I mentioned exams, tests, performance can harm downstream relationship between parent and child. I also talk about values. Live the values you want to teach. If not, it will harm that relationship downstream. Now let's talk about midstream, husband and wife. Midstream. One time I have a father who came to me and said, Jason, I'm so sad, my twins are 9-year-old twins. One of them came to me and said, Dad, I don't think there's God, no. Then I look at him and I said, so do you ask her what's the reason? And he said, yeah. I asked her what's the reason, because I told her, I said, we go to church, we have family devotion, we do Bible study, I send you to children's school, how come you say there's no God? And then he looked at me, the father looked at me, you know what she said? I said, I don't know, you tell me. She said this, Daddy, if there's God, how come you and Mommy always quarrel? If there's God, how come you and Mommy always quarrel? All the Bible study, all the devotion, all the Sunday school, wasted. Midstream is so important. Midstream is so important. Now I'm going to give you a checklist, a checklist. When young people get married, you know what I do? I give them a checklist. I say, this is one of the checklists. It's very good. Is there love in the marriage? Is there love in the marriage? Then he said, what is love? Love is patient. Can we read together? 1, 2, 3. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. I know of young couples that get married. This is their like theme verse for their marriage. Wonderful. How do I love my wife? What is love? Well, love is being patient with her, being kind with her. I tell you a story. One of my family members, my siblings, I remember I went to, I was just a young Christian, I was still studying in Australia. I came back during the summer holidays and they were quarreling. So I went to the house and then my sister was in the kitchen. My brother-in-law was at the door about to walk out. So I talked to my sister. My sister said, he never buy me flowers. You know, it's about keeping record of wrongs. Love does not keep record of wrongs. He never buy me flowers. So I went to the door and I said, you know, brother-in-law, my sister said you never buy her flowers. And then he looked at me and said, she never tell me. So I went to my sister. I said, my brother-in-law said you never tell him, you know. Why must I tell him? He should know. So I went to him and said, my sister said you should know, no need to tell you. He said, how do I know you should never tell me? So, keep record of wrongs. So many. So how do you do this? Well, this is what you do. At the end of a week, at the end of a month, you ask yourself, my wife is Donna. Was Donna patient with me? Was Donna kind to me? No, this is not how you use it. You put your name inside. It's like a mirror for you. Either every day or every week or every month, you look at the mirror called 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4-7. Have Jason been kind to Donna? Have I been patient with my wife? Have I dishonored her? Have I gotten angry and got triggered by some of the things she said? And so now you put your own name inside. And you use this as your checklist. You know, I'm sure you all attend people's weddings, right? And then, then the best part is what? The kiss. Now, before the kiss is the vow, right? The vow, right? You know, the most moving marriage vow that I have ever witnessed was in an old couple's 50th wedding anniversary, jubilee. Beautiful. They invited friends, and my wife and I were invited, quite a few, about 20, 30 tables in a hotel. And then they were invited to go up, you know. Then they stood in front of everybody. And then they have this champagne glass, you know. And then they said, we want to rededicate. You know, we want to say the marriage vow again to each other. Then they hold the champagne and they look at each other. So the woman, the wife said to the husband, for richer or for poorer, for better or for worse, in sickness or in health, till death do us part. They're almost 80 years old. And then, of course, after she said that, people took out tissue paper. And then after the husband's turn, the husband looked at the wife, for richer or for poorer, for better or for worse, in sickness or in health, till death do us part. Everybody took out tissue paper. You know why? She was looking at the wife who was wearing a wig. She had cancer at the time, undergoing chemotherapy. For richer or for poorer, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. Beautiful. Beautiful. You know, in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 31, 33, for this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. This is a profound mystery. But I am talking about Christ and the church. The marriage on earth is to represent Christ and the church, the bridegroom Jesus and the bride, the church. You know what did Jesus say to the church? I will never leave you. I will never give up. I will always be there for you. I will come back for you. The marriage on earth is to represent that commitment. I've talked about downstream. I've spoken about midstream. Let's talk about upstream. Let's end with upstream, which is the most important. How is your relationship with God? I just spoke to a couple yesterday. One of my mentees introduced me to his fiancée. So very happy for him. And even though it was just a lunch, it wasn't meant to be a marriage prep course. I decided to give them a couple of tips. Might as well, right? And so, you know, you go for marriage prep, there's always this triangle, isn't it? This triangle. God created man and woman. So there's this triangle. And then the advice is that you want to get closer to each other, you cannot do it this way. You need to get closer to God. As you get closer to God, you will get closer to each other. Right? If the man get closer to God, the woman get closer to God, and they will end up getting closer to each other. God must still be the center of the marriage, of the family. So God-man relationship is most important. Let's read this because we are going upstream, right? This is where upstream is. 1, 2, 3. In the beginning, God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Again, how many of you are parents? Right? When your children were younger, as they are growing up, then your friend come and see, hey, your son look like you. Right? Or they say, hey, your daughter look like mom. No? Hey, a bit half of you and half of mom. No? Our children are in our image. Right? So this verse basically means what? You are created in God's image. That means you are God's children. We are supposed to reveal God to the world, to those around us. Can you imagine? Okay, this is Jesus, the Son of God. Jesus said, I and the Father are one. And Jesus said, anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. Wow. You are son, you are daughter of God. That means you are in God's image and everybody see you, they see God. Isn't it beautiful? Husband come home and then my wife said, wow, Jesus walked into the house. Daddy comes home and then my daughter said, wow, Father God come into the house. If all of us reveal God, our family will be strong. You reveal Jesus, you reveal God the Father. So today when you go home, bring Jesus home. Bring the Father home. And each time you come home from work, when you walk into the house, wow, God walks into the house. Beautiful verse. Let's read together. 1, 2, 3. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. When people see your marriage, do they see God? When people see your family, do they see God? Sometimes we only read this verse in church. We talk about our love for each other in the church. But I believe this is also applicable for family relationships. We don't even need to preach. You just invite someone who do not know God to come to your family. The person just watch how husband treat the wife, how the son talk to the father, how the parents talk to the daughter. They will be able to see God. Isn't it beautiful? But it's not easy. Sometimes we don't have love. I don't feel like loving. I remember, I will end with this story. There's this young man that I mentored some years back. Every time I talk to him, he will complain about his father. The father was a terrible father. He will just keep thinking about the negative things, and up to a point, I don't know what to say to him anymore. And then so one time he was talking, and I said, God, what do I say to him? How can I help him? And then God dropped a question into my head. I look at him, I said, okay, I want to ask you a question. Do you know how your father was fathered by his father? That means how your grandfather fathered your father. And he stopped complaining. He looked at me, he said, I know what you're trying to tell me. I said, I don't know what I'm trying to tell you. So what came to your mind? Then he said this, my grandfather was a worse father to my father than my father was to me. And immediately, God gave me this sentence to say to him. We cannot give what we have not received. I can give love if I receive love. But if I receive bitterness, I receive violence, I receive hate, I receive caning, sometimes I have no choice but to pass down some of this. But yet, because we are Christians, we love because He first loved us. We have no capacity to love because the people who are supposed to give us love didn't give us enough love. But because we are Christian, we have God. God is love. He's like a reservoir. Your tap can never run out of love one. You just open the reservoir. God is love, God is love, God is love, God is love. You have no more love. You cannot give love to your spouse. You don't have love to give your children. You go to God and to receive. You know, one time I think Love Singapore, during the COVID period, they were having the Day of His Power. And there was a segment on family. So they have to pre-record because it was COVID, so they had to pre-record. So myself and 2 other people were asked to take that segment, and I was told, Jason, you can say whatever you want, whatever God put in your heart, you just say it, we'll record it. So I went before the Lord and I prayed, and then God showed me this. God showed me this picture. And instead of looking at the top, my attention was drawn to the bottom, the empty glasses, the orphan spirits. They're empty, just waiting to be filled, waiting for love. And then the Lord showed me, He is the God of love. We don't have to stay there. We just need to move up to Him. The vertical relationship, the upstream. Just go upstream and receive from Him. And so today, I want to pray for you. Bring your empty jars. Bring your empty cups. Bring your empty glasses. So that you can receive His love, and out of that, you give some to your spouse, give some to your children, even to your own parents. Let's pray.